I get asked all the time about my audio and video setup from, say, coworkers, fellow solutions consultants, friends of the channel and podcast. And I just gotta say out of the gate, to be honest, most people do not need the setup that I have, really. I mean, I have stuff that's a little bit over the top. But I will say, all solutions consultants definitely need a setup better than not thinking about your setup. And that likely includes you. That's probably why you're actually here and watching the video. You need to stop doing nothing, frankly. Stop buying the wrong equipment and buying things for the wrong reason and buying things that are just not going to work well for what you need for live video conference calls, Zoom, Teams, whatever it is. That's what you're spending most of your time doing. That's what you need a setup for. The fact is, most enterprise sales today is done on your computer, on Zoom or Teams using a webcam and a microphone. It does make a difference when people can see and hear you more clearly. And there are definitely some do not do's. I'm definitely going to cover those for sure, including some things that I believe are just a waste of money. I'll be showing you also different tiers so you can see and hear the difference for yourselves and decide where you want to invest. There's definitely a big difference between the lowest and the highest, and decide for yourself what you think is the most important. All the products are going to have links in the description if you want to pick them up for yourselves. This is not a sponsored video. This is just my honest take based upon like the last 10 years of me buying different AV setups for my home setup, because what I like to do. It's a problem, I know, but this is what I do. So in short, this is what's wrong with how you're actually doing your setup today. This is me on my laptop, no lighting, using the laptop camera there and just the microphone that comes with the laptop. And you can definitely see and hear the difference. There's no question about that. How long do you want to listen to me doing this? Do you want to sit through a whole hour-long demo while I'm having to speak to you with this tinny-sounding voice? Probably not. So don't worry. I'm not going to leave you this setup much longer, but I wanted to let you know this is why you got to make a change. Okay, I'm going to hop back over to the other setup. There you go. Now, this is much better, right? I'm gonna give you a range of upgrades that you can do so you can decide how you want to spend your budget. But I do recommend that the first thing you upgrade isn't your webcam. Most people think that that's the first thing you should do. Most people like to upgrade the webcam first, but instead, this is the first thing you should think about: your microphone, how you sound. So let's start there. But before we do any of the things you should do, I first have to call out what you need to stop doing. As you can see, I put in earbuds, and you're hearing me through the earbuds. It's actually far worse than the mic in your laptop. So don't do this. You gotta stop doing this right away. Because frankly, the mic on your laptop is actually much better than the microphone on your earbuds. It just is. So leave the microphone and earbuds for when you gotta take a phone call, but don't use them for your meetings. Now, I'm okay if you put the earbuds in for sound, but then make sure you can have the earbuds for the audio going to your ears, but then for the microphone, use the laptop mic. You can add that. Anything will allow you, Zoom, Teams will allow you to make that change. That's just fine. I also want to iterate this. You still don't want to stay here very long, especially when the first tier of microphones is actually so very affordable. So let's go into the first tier. And that's this fine USB microphone K699B. It's only about $30, and if I put it back down, I mean, just listen to the difference. Did I mention it's $30? It's literally just plug and play into your computer. Such a more full sound. Gone is that tinny resonance that you can't get rid of from a small laptop mic. Such a low price point and already a great upgrade. Honestly, for most of you watching, this is the most money you should spend on a microphone, honestly. You can go more expensive, but until you get very expensive, it's really not going to make much of a difference. And it's weird to say, but you should prioritize the microphone first over any other upgrades so you can get along quite well at the $30 price point. Now, I will say one thing about this microphone is that this is the way it's intended to be set up. Do not pay attention to what the Amazon listing shows, which is this. I mean, just listen to the quality difference of me talking into the top of the microphone. Do not do this. It's intended to have you speak directly into the front of the microphone. And I just have it here sitting on my desk, and it still picks me up pretty well. But anyways, that's the $30 price point. I don't think you can go wrong with that. But let's explore the next price tier. And the next tier is the Shure MV5 digital condenser for about $100. It's nice and small, just like the Fi-Fi. It sits right on your desk, out of sight, and provides, honestly, very crisp audio. You should probably know, you probably are noticing it does provide a crisper and cleaner overall sound, and it's honestly comparable to that very popular Blue Yeti that you've probably heard of, which is now owned by Logitech. I prefer this mic because it's plug and play. The Blue Yeti, it does offer more options and more patterns to choose from, but people often don't mess with that, and so people often end up using it wrong, and also sometimes talking into the wrong part of it, just like I was showing in the Fi-Fi. And I've seen a lot of people talking into the top of a Blue Yeti or talking into the back of a Blue Yeti. There is no mistake. I mean, look at this mic. There is no mistake about how you use it and which direction to talk into it. You get great audio just plugging it in your computer, no fuss. I used this as my work call microphone for about 3 years. I was very happy with it. People could hear me very clearly. It is triple the cost of the Fi-Fi, but just listen to the additional crisp clarity, less muffled on the low end. Worth it if you ask me, and you're willing to spend the extra cash. So up next, let's take a look at the next step, and this is a pretty significant step up. And that's moving away from the USB microphones to XLR microphones. Now, this is a difference I'm sure you can probably hear. Probably, I don't know. I can't take that for granted anymore. But this is the Sennheiser E835, and on its own, it costs about $90, so $10 cheaper than the previous mic. However, you will need to buy an audio interface in order to plug this into your computer. The cheapest one I'd recommend will run you about $50, so it's a bit more than the Shure USB mic all in. However, the audio, as you notice, will be absolutely crisp. There's just no difference going from a lower end USB microphone or any USB microphone to an XLR microphone. Now, those of you who know about microphones are probably going to ask me and question my choice of the E835 over the Shure SM58, which has been the gold standard stage mic that looks like this for decades. Well, frankly, I personally don't like the sound of that profile on my voice. The SM58 just, for me, doesn't sound that great. On my voice, it sounds a little bit muddy and muffled, and the E835 has a beautiful expansion into what's called the air range, which is kind of the higher frequencies, making my voice sound more crisp. And I think anytime you have something that will sound more crisp, it makes you easier to understand, which is exactly what I'm shooting for on a demo call, on a presentation of any sort. I like this mic so much. I actually have 3 of them. I've run recordings in my home studio here with 2 other people, so I actually have 3 of these mics. I love them so much. Now, yes, you'll also need to invest in an arm, so you're not having to hold it during your demos. And I will show you one that I have my other mic mounted on, which is the one that I prefer. You have to get this mic close to your face because you can't have it sitting farther away. Because if you do, as you can tell, when it gets farther away, you lose so much audio quality. And so you don't want to do that. And it makes it hard to hear. So you have to get it close to your face. For many, this is going to be the next reason to not upgrade to this step. The nice thing about the USB condensers is you don't need to be on top of the mic, and you can have it out of the webcam, which you can't do for these. But I don't see a problem with that. And for me, the sound upgrade is just so very worth it. In fact, all Demo Jockey's podcast episodes were recorded on this very microphone for me. So anyways, let's do the next one. And this is the latest upgrade for me on microphone. This is actually one that I bought relatively recently and couldn't be more ecstatic about it. So let's go to that. And it's this microphone, the SE Electronics Dynacaster. This is a $300 dynamic microphone, but it has frankly got some amazing features right in the microphone that help it provide a really crisp, sounding, a lot of really clear voice, even though I can't say the words right. It sounds like it has a condenser microphone that sounds like a condenser style microphone, but it isn't. It doesn't need to rely on post-processing for a great sound in a dynamic microphone, and that's something that is very important for Zoom calls. Now, I know many of you, if you were looking at this, you were sure I was going to pull out the Shure SM7B. Yes, it's a popular microphone. It's actually probably the most popular higher end, not super high end, but prosumer, even for some pro level dynamic microphone. It's very popular. It is the standard for a lot of people. They use it for higher end microphones. You probably recognize it because of how many people use it, but just because something's popular doesn't make it the best choice. For my liking, the Shure SM7B is just too muffled and requires a decent amount of post-processing to get the sound you're used to hearing on podcasts and YouTube videos. It's just not a great live recording microphone, in my opinion, or video conference microphone. For demonstrations, you should prioritize crisp clarity over deep resonance in your voice. Hence my top choice here is the Dynacaster. But if you're spending this much and you want the SM7B, I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead. It's still a great microphone and you're going to be happy with it. I just think this is going to be a better choice and a little bit better bang for your buck at the end of the day as well. Now for audio interfaces, I use this Scarlett Focusrite to plug XLR mics into my computer. As you can see, I actually have two of them because I have one for my work computer and one for my personal computer. I've used it for many years and they're very, very solid. On my list, if you're going to buy it right now, I'd recommend the 4th generation. Even though I have 3rd generation ones, I'd recommend the 4th generation for two reasons. First, there's this auto gain feature on the 4th gen. That's basically an automatic volume control. That means you don't need to worry about setting your microphone to the right level. It will do that for you automatically, which is absolutely amazing if you're inexperienced. And you then just don't have to worry about peaking or going too loud or being too low to pick you up. It's honestly worth the extra cash to get something that's just set it and forget it, which is what these audio interfaces are. Now, the second reason is just aesthetic, frankly. The 4th gen has all of these microphone plugs in the back. So you can keep your setup looking a lot more tidy, which I care about. Ignore these extra cables. That's just what I have set up for the extra camera I got going right now. But it's nice for a more tidy desktop for sure. I did mention before though, and in my less expensive list in the comments is the M Audio M-Track Solo. It's only $50 for an audio interface. I've never used it though, but I know others who have, and it gets the job done. Okay, so that's it for microphones. So now I'm hoping you've got your pick, you've got your favorite, and it's clicked on, added to your cart. Let's move on to how you look on your webcam. And for this, we're right back to the laptop camera. Now, I did add in a lamp, and I'm on my Shure microphone, so hopefully it sounds and looks a little bit better. I'm trying to give the laptop camera the best go at it. But as you can see, it's just, there's not much you can do. You can't adjust really the camera angle too much without adjusting the actual direction of your laptop screen. So it's not ideal. It's not what you want to do, especially when the first tier of cameras is so incredibly cheap as well. So this is the EMEET 1080p webcam. It's just $20. And I got to say, for 20 bucks, I mean, look at the difference between my laptop default camera to just this $20 USB camera you can get off of Amazon. I don't know why you're not doing this right now. Like if you're on a tight budget, just do this one. It's fantastic. There is one couple downsides to it though. It's not great with low light compensation. I have lights on right here, so it actually looks okay, but it does struggle. And so you will need to make sure you have good lighting, and we'll actually cover later how you can do that for pretty cheap. So stay tuned for that. The other downside is it doesn't have what some others have, which is this ability to mount it to some type of an arm. Because I like to do that in my home setup. I like to get the camera exactly where I want it. As you can tell, I'm normally looking like here, and now I'm looking kind of up here. And I like getting really specific about that, not having to worry about just putting it on top of my monitor and hoping that setup is kind of what I want. But for 20 bucks, I mean, come on, you really can't complain about that. But let's take a look at the next step up from this camera. Now, I love this next camera. This is the Anker PowerConf C200, and it's usually like $50. I think it's actually less than $50 right now on Amazon. It is a 2K 30 FPS camera, excellent low light compensation. So for those of you who may not have good lighting setups and you don't want to spend any money on lights, you don't want to adjust it at all, this might be the camera for you. I mean, for just 50 bucks, it's like 20 bucks more than the last one we saw, but I mean, the picture difference is fantastic. Also, it actually has software that comes with it that you can control the exact angle. As you can see, I've got it zoomed in. That's not me zooming in on the editor. That's actually zoomed in with the camera, meaning you can be zoomed in and specifically get the picture that you want on Zoom and on Teams, because you can do that within the software, which stores it on the camera. It's fantastic. I still use this camera. I do have the next tier that I upgraded to, kind of better camera than this one for a significant price, but I use this camera. I actually have two of them. I use both of those for alternate shots. Actually, the shots, the microphones you saw before were on this camera. I really like it. Honestly, there's no reason why I don't feel like this could be a camera that you should be able to go and grab for 50 bucks. I mean, it's going to be fantastic. Also, has a physical shutter slider on it. So if you don't like having an external webcam because you like to be able to put the little piece of paper or tape over your laptop webcam, this one has an actual physical privacy shutter right on it that's bright red when it's closed, so you know that it's closed. So really, this has got a lot of it. It can be mounted on a stand. This is the one I showed you before, the bottom of it. So I highly recommend this one, that you go with this if you want great picture quality. Actually, even for a lot of content creators, this is a great go-to camera right now. Finally, we get to what I use, and I love this camera. It's just so out of range for most people who are just looking to use something for work. It's the Elgato Facecam Pro, and it goes for $300, but this camera, full 4K, 60 frames per second, and the difference in quality on both the resolution and on no stuttering with the frames is absolutely outstanding if you're doing any type of work beyond work, any type of recording you want to do beyond work. You know, short of buying a DSLR or mirrorless camera and going through the hassle of setting that up as a webcam, which, by the way, I don't recommend, as I've tried it, and absolutely it was a nightmare. But this is the best you're going to get. Honestly, it's the best you're going to get from a USB webcam, and it will not disappoint. You'll need to ensure you have good lighting compared to the Anker, though. I have tested the two side by side, and Anker just has better low light compensation. It's just what it does. But if you're spending $300 on a camera, you're likely going to be able to upgrade your lighting or just put a desk lamp in front of you. But we're going to get to that in a second anyways. But again, for most people, this is way overkill. But just, I mean, it's so nice. It also has fantastic controller software, actually better than Anker's software. You can make the camera behave exactly how you want. You can adjust nearly everything, the tilts, everything. I just love it. Even if I think it's too much for most of you and waste of money at the end of the day for all of you. But look, if you're going to, if budget's no option, you're looking for the best of the best, this is the best of the best. I would say get this one right now. All right, so now you got your microphone in your cart. You've picked out your preferred camera. Maybe you're still thinking about it. That's okay. You got some time. You got some time. But let's move on to something that's a little bit more simple. Lighting. Honestly, this one's pretty simple in comparison. But I'll explain why it's important, even if you think you don't need a light. Putting a light in front of your face will make it look better on camera. In fact, real quick, let me do this. Let me turn these off. And just notice the difference. Now, you saw my camera try to compensate, but you notice that I look a little bit more red. I look a little bit more grainy. That's because I'm now making the camera work a little bit more. Let me turn those back on. You have to stare at how terrible that is. But you can get pretty far. I held it up before. You can get pretty far with a desk lamp for about $10. Now, you might just turn it on and not really notice an immediate difference because of that webcam compensation, but it's providing more crisp and clarity. And especially if you look at it and one side of your face is shadowed, because maybe you got a window over here, put the lamp on the other side. Just make it look a little bit better. Webcams can appear very stuttery, very difficult, very color wrong when you're in dim lights. Just turn on a light. Now, that said, there is something that I need you all to stop doing. This is another stop doing thing right now. Stop buying ring lights for your home laptop setup. I would hold one up, but I've never bought one. Because guess what? There's nothing special about LEDs in the shape of a circle. LEDs, like this light I have, it's an LED light, don't need to be in the shape of a circle. You might be thinking, well, I want one because I want to put it around my webcam. You don't want to do that. You don't want to put it around your webcam. If you do that, for one thing, you're going to give yourself a headache because you're going to be staring directly into a light all day during your meetings. And two, it doesn't look the best. You want your light slightly off at an angle that provides a little bit more natural looking shadow. It looks more realistic than just a white, no shadow washed out face. Ideally, you'd actually have 2 lights, one on each side, and for bonus points, one that's a warmer and brighter on one side, which would be your key light, and then a fill on the other, which is your cooler, softer, kind of more blue light on the other. But that's getting my head of myself about 2 lights. You need 1. So if you don't want to spend on this category, just go find a desk lamp, place it off the side, in front of you, free your $10. You actually probably have one around your house you can use. Pretty easy. Now, for your first step up in lighting, I've used this and I really like it. It's the Logitech for Creators Light Ultra Glow Premium. It's a terrible name. It's a Logitech product, but it's pretty simple. It's $60. The nice thing about it is that, as you can see, you can mount it right to your monitor and it can be raised up. If I can figure out how to do that here, you can raise it up so that it actually gets it, again, like I said, away from your camera. So you're not staring right into it and getting that migraine I'd mentioned. It actually has controller software as well, which you don't need to use, but it's there. You can certainly use it. A little bit of annoying software. It's not the best, but it's software. You can turn it on and off, control the brightness and the temperature of the light, which is fantastic because then you can see what lighting actually brings out the best features of your face. You're not just stuck with some generic orange or yellow light that's like a light bulb that you happen to have. $60 is a little bit pricey, again, more than the $10. But it is a nice upgrade if you're looking to spend the money on a nice LED light, especially when you can control with your computer. I highly recommend going to that higher tier. So for those of you who want to spend maybe a little bit more, I would actually recommend this Elgato Key Light Mini. Now on the surface, it doesn't look all that great. And to be fair, any of the Elgato key lights are going to work the same, but I actually have 2 of the minis. The minis, they don't have their own stand and they're cheaper for it. The retail price is $100, but I've usually seen them around $60 at the time of this recording. So it's actually the same price as the Logitech. Has much better and easier to use controlling software. It's actually Wi-Fi controlled. So you can place this anywhere you want. It doesn't have to be plugged in directly to your computer, which is really nice. We're already talking about a lot of USBs that you're going to be plugging in. These, after you set them up, they're controlled with Wi-Fi. Any computer with the software, even with your phone. That way you just have a plug to plug this into the wall to keep it charged, but that's it. It also, that lighting control lives in your taskbar. It's very simple to turn it off and back on. So, and like I said, it's battery powered. So think about bringing this, throw it in your bag, bringing it with you. So the next time you're on the road and you got to do a demo from your hotel room on your laptop, you can at least have a little bit of an upgraded lighting setup, which is fantastic. Now, you're going to need some type of adjustable arm or tripod to mount the light on, but those you can get for pretty cheap, like 15, 20 bucks, which is why these are probably the more expensive upgrade. And honestly, I didn't think they were worth it at first when I saw them come out, but I'd highly recommend them. They actually are very versatile, very easy to control, very intuitive user interface. It's a great Elgato product. I really like it. I would recommend it. So anyways, that pretty much rounds it all up. There are other recommendations, such as my recommendation for headphones if you need some. I love my Beyerdynamic DT 770 Pro 32 ohms. I also have a set of Edifier speakers on my desk. I'll link to both of those in the description if you want to see exactly what I use for sound. But for now, what everyone's here for, my recommendation. Now, for 95% of you, I think this setup is going to be all you need. Pick up the Fi-Fi microphone, the Anker webcam, and the Elgato Key Light Mini, and a cheap adjustable desk arm to put the light on. You get in all in for under 200 bucks, and you've made a significant upgrade. Now, if you need to stick to a tighter budget, around $100, I'd recommend still the same Fi-Fi microphone, the Anker camera, and the desk lamp. Obviously, if you want to go with my setup, go for it. Definitely not going to stop you. But you could really mix that up, right? If you are someone who really enjoyed the crispness of maybe the Shure microphone, do that and then sub somewhere else. Like any of the lower end cameras seemed about the same. And really, you could just go, like I said, go with that desk lamp and save yourself some budget as well. It's definitely not going to stop you there. So anyways, what's your setup? Anything that you think I forgot? Maybe anything you disagree with me with other than the Shure SM7B choice? But please let me know. Please comment and let me know. Otherwise, I mean, how am I going to know? How am I going to know if you don't tell me? Anyways, if you're still listening to me and watching this, thank you so much. But that's all for me. Now get out there, improve your life, and improve your demo.